I know so much of the conversation around the LSU search has involved the governor in the last 24 hours or so. But they are going to have a coaching search, and they are having a coaching search. And you are hearing coaches mentioned, and every time coaches are asked about the LSU job and say something on the record, we're going to talk about it. And today, two more coaches who've been connected to the job, loosely as it may be, were asked about it, and so we're going to talk about it here. First is Dan Lanning, who was on the Rich Eisen show, and Dan Lanning was not willing to take the bait and elaborate very much at all, but this is what Dan Lanning said when asked about the head coach openings.
Yeah, I'm not leaving Oregon. Yeah, as long as I win. That's what I always tell my kids, right? If your dad wins, we'll be at Oregon. So I gotta win, right? That's how it changes.
He's winning. So, hey, Muse, what do we call what Dan Lanning just did? What level is that on the scale?
I'm going denial.
Flat out, Prouty Muse, give yourself a ding, no doubt about it. That was a denial. So there's the denial, there's the non-denial denial, and the non-denial. That was a flat-out denial. That was Nick Saban, I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. Dan Lanning just put himself in a box and said, I'm not leaving Oregon. Okay. So whenever you hear other coaches who are asked a point-blank question and they weave and dance and all, they're telling you, you can call me, I'll listen. I may not leave, but I'll listen. That's what Kelvin Sheppard did. Now, I think Shep is a fascinating potential candidate. I don't know if he's going to get the job. I have no problem saying that if LSU offers Kelvin Sheppard the job, he will take it. Shep played at LSU. He's the current DC with the Lions. And during the Lions media availability today, getting ready for the Minnesota Vikings, Shep was asked if he had interest in the LSU job. Listen how he answered it.
I can't be interested in something I have no idea about. So, I'm interested in beating the Minnesota Vikings. I'm tasked with another Tiger this week in Justin Jefferson, since we're on a Tiger conversation. And that's a tall one. He's one of the LSU greats. So that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in seeing us come off this bye week and stop cutting ourselves short of the potential, I believe, who we could be as a defense and as a team. It's time to make this final push, and it starts with us limiting points.
Now, Muse, so what do we call that, by the way?
I'm going non-denial denial.
Good at this, Muse. I mean, you're not good at a lot, Muse, but you're betting 1,000 in this game. I tell you what, it is multiple choice, however. Okay, but this is the part that if you're an LSU fan, I want you to clutch your purple and gold beads. I want you to hold the alma mater close to your heart. This is the thing. This is the thing that is going to sell almost all of you on the possibility of Kelvin Sheppard. Roll it.
Obviously, I've kept up with them. That's my alma mater. I keep up with them every year, every week. Spent 5 years, well, 6 if you include the year coaching down there. That place molded me into the man that I am today and still becoming. You cut me open, I'm a liger. I think that's what they call it. Half lion, half tiger. But, that school expects championships, and they should. We hosted a trophy when I was there. They hosted one after I left there. The standard down there, just like we've created the standard here through hard work, through what you put out there, is championships. It's not just being around, it's not being competitive, and it's not winning. We should win. That's what we put ourselves in position to do over the course of time. It's championships. And that school deserves that. That fan base deserves that. And I know the people down there in place will make sure that happens moving forward.
I mean, this is going to be a fascinating hire. Because I will tell you, the reason when Brian Kelly got fired on Sunday, there's always this initial wave of who's next, and people start throwing out names. I'm not talking about people on Twitter or X. I mean the people that write checks. And I'm telling you that people that write checks mentioned to me after the Kiffin, Dan Lanning, all that, the names everybody's going to mention, right? Joe Brady, Kelvin Sheppard. And when someone who's willing to write a check mentions a name, you better pay attention. Now, I'm not telling you it's going to happen. There's a great chance it happens. But I'm going to tell you again what I tell you every time we have this conversation. Believe nothing, consider everything. Just like I'm telling you with the conversations we've had over the last 2 hours about the governor's comments possibly making some of the top candidates uneasy, the way LSU is likely to structure contracts moving forward without guaranteeing 9 figures up front will eliminate the top tier candidate. When you start getting down to the second tier, you start to go, okay, well, is there a giant difference between hiring John Sumrall or Kelvin Sheppard or Frank Wilson and Dan Mullen? You start to have those conversations. You don't have the conversation if you have the opportunity to hire Dan Lanning. If you have the opportunity to hire Dan Lanning, you hire Dan Lanning. But if LSU's not in that market, well, now you start to have a different conversation. And you're talking about a young guy with an NFL background, who knows defense, is crushing it right now in Detroit, gets culture, gets LSU, all the things. And remember, someone different's going to make this hire, but when you hire a coach and it doesn't work, typically you go the opposite, right? You go the opposite way. You just hired the aging veteran coach, CEO type. Wouldn't it make sense that you go the offensive background, younger, energetic, defensive-minded coach? Like, wouldn't it make sense if you made that flip, if you changed? I mean, the example I give you all the time is when, when LSU went from someone like Trent Johnson to Johnny Jones, or from John Brady to Trent Johnson in basketball. Like John Brady was loud, he was abrasive, and I love Coach, by the way. And he would say this if he were sitting right here. He wouldn't object to any of this. Well, they went to a more stoic guy in Trent Johnson, and Trent Johnson was a good basketball coach, but he'd have an ounce of charisma. So they fired Trent Johnson. What did they do? They brought in Johnny Jones, LSU guy who could recruit his behind off. You want someone who loved LSU? Boom, you got it. So point being, like, a lot of times when something doesn't work, you go the other way. And it's interesting to see if that might be what happens here. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying if you are closing yourself off to the possibility of someone like Kelvin Sheppard getting the job, you better think twice, because that door is open. When you got people who are willing to write checks, as we saw on Sunday, door is open.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.